Hey everybody, my name is Sharon Quinn and I'm also known as the original runway diva, and you are watching Model Behavior. Class is officially in session. Today my guest lecturer is a fashion industry icon with an unparalleled 40-plus year reign in the fashion industry. Renauld White's stellar career began at a time of extraordinary unrest, and I'm so glad to have him here to tell his story. Welcome, Renauld White, to Model Behavior.
Thank you, Sharon. It's a pleasure to be here.
My God, it took me forever to get you here, and I don't know what worked out in the universe to get you here, but I'm glad that you're here.
I am
and
too.
I just want to, I'm going to jump right into it because you know that this is all about teaching, and your career is, it's crazy.
It is.
So what I want to know is two things. One, how did you even know that this was something that you wanted to do to make you come to New York? And then once you got to New York, what happened after that?
Well, it was a series of events, but I kind of knew as a kid that I loved art. I loved movies, I loved images, I loved the radio. I listened to all those things. It created my imagination. I had very, really handsome and beautiful parents. My dad was very handsome, very tall, very thin, elegant. He was a truck driver. He would jump off the truck, and then on the weekends he would put a suit on, and people would think he was a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah, he was so debonair. So I saw that growing up, how cool he was. He looked great in jeans or khakis, and then on the weekend he'd throw a suit on. He was a movie star. My mother was beautiful. She looked like Dorothy Dandridge.
Wow.
And we lived in Newark. And at that time, Newark had a modeling circle there going on. Emily Miles. This is some history. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
Emily Miles.
Yeah, she was an establishment for models in Newark in the 50s and the 40s and whatnot. So my mom used to do shows with Emily. She wasn't tall, but she had a beautiful face. And they would put her in hats. And she'd walk down and everybody would look at her and say how beautiful she was. So I was fortunate. God gave me great looking parents. So when I came out and I started to form, I was a chubby little kid with big cheeks and, you know, and kind of shy and didn't have any kind of confidence. So I used to listen to the radio. And my imagination went wild. I used to look at magazines and I'd see, you know, beautiful images. You know, I'd see, you know, mainly white people. That's just the way it was. But I recognized style and elegance at a very young age.
Because
now,
you saw that in your dad.
I saw it in my dad, yes, and I saw it in the magazines that were around. But for me, it was a journey of mistakes and then learning how to present yourself to the world. Because when you're young, you don't know, you're not sure. You know, but it was going through high school because I became very aware of high school that I was a big guy. In the first day of high school, I met another big guy, my buddy Joe McClintock, and we've been friends ever since the first day of high school when the football coach cornered the two of us and said, if you two guys don't show up for football practice, the next 3 years will be hell in this high school.
Wait, you were big, like bulky big?
I was a right tackle. My buddy Joe is a center. So you know, a center and a right tackle, they have to be big guys. They have to be kind of.
Wow.
So that's the size I was in high school. So I didn't have this, you know, slim physique, you know, fit and everything. That wasn't the consciousness then. We're talking, you know, high school days. But eventually, going through high school, you know, you want to become cool. And you sort of figure out who the cool people are, you know, and you emulate them. So I went through a series of that, and my buddy Joe and another friend of mine, Jesse, we used to go to the thrift shops in Newark and find like great bargains, jackets, and we take them to my buddy Joe's cousin who is a tailor, and we have the jackets or the suits or the ties mended or whatever.
And
so
what time period are we talking about now?
we're talking about the 60s.
Okay.
60s. So it started in high school. I mean, and then you want to be attractive to the girls, the cheerleaders, or whatever, you know. So you want to look like you got a little bit of style, even if you don't have any money, you know. So it started, I would say, in high school, you know, to be accepted. Everybody wants to be accepted. And I think the way you present yourself has a lot to do with how the world embraces you. So, and it just goes on from there. You know, I went to work after high school. I couldn't go to college. I had to, because my mother and father were divorced, and it was very challenging for my mother. So I was the only support that she had. So I went to work a week out of high school. I started working in a night shift. And working in an office, you have to present yourself a certain way also. So there I became more aware of shirts and ties and just looking the part, the business part. But eventually I came to New York. I used to go to a place called the Palladium, which was on, now there's two Palladiums. I'm not sure I know which one you're thinking
Well, I'm probably talking about the second one.
Well, you are, yes. Okay, I'm talking about the first one.
Okay.
Which was on 52nd and Broad.
But I remember that one, I do.
That was Latin.
I do remember that.
Yeah, well, we had a group from Newark that we used to do Mambo during the week, and then on the weekends we go to the Palladium and compete with people from Brooklyn and the Bronx. So you really had to be smooth then. So I stepped up my clothing game then, because I was competing against these guys from Brooklyn.
Oh, you could dance too?
Mambo, yes.
Okay, these kids don't even know what a mambo
is no,
now.
they know salsa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you do that too?
Well, I kind of dropped it in the 80s when it became salsa because it was nothing like it in the 60s. It was great. We were young teenagers, and we found a sophisticated way of impressing women because we could dance with them, we could navigate them with very subtle hand movements and their lower back. And there's nothing like being on the dance floor, dancing with a woman who has the same beat that you have, who manipulates her body towards yours, and you're in charge of the finesse. It makes you feel like you're a prince. I mean, you have it so together, and it's so subtle. And I mean, it's a big attraction.
Okay, so let me just say this. So you, during that dance period and competing for the attention of women, you had to have known you was cute by then.
Well, I had lost some weight. I'd lost some weight. Yeah, I'd lost some, but I was still a shy guy. I was shy.
So how does the modeling piece come into play?
Modeling came in later on. In the 60s, it happened through a series of events. Somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and they said, and I had lost weight by that time, because then we're in the heart of the counter movement, and I'm so glad that I was at that age where I was considered counterculture, and I loved it because all of my heroes, Malcolm X, Huey Newton, they were all young, and I was there with them being young.
That was a great time, man.
Yeah, it was great, and I grew my hair out. And I walked around, I had a cause because my city had burned down.
Right.
Yeah, my city had burned down in '67.
I remember that, because I had relatives that lived out there during that period.
Yeah. So my grandparents were there, and almost in the heart of it. Thank God, they were far away from it, so nothing really disrupted their life. But I used to go through it. That's my hometown. I mean, I was socialized in Newark. I'm a Newark boy, So it was just an amazing path of steps that I kind of took, where somebody had a piece of information, and then somebody passed it to a friend of mine, Stephen Burrows, who's from Newark, the great designer.
Yes.
Right. Also, a major force in the fashion world, and turned it upside down, matter of fact. In the late 60s, early 70s. So I was there, he was a part of coming out of Newark and coming to New York and being young and creative and angry and trying to do something for the cause. It all worked, it all came together. So I met this friend of mine, is Roz Rubenstein. She was dating a guy by the name of Jeff Blen. Jeff Blen was a top model in New York and in Europe. And one day he said to me, he said, Renauld, he said, "Do you ever think about modeling?" I said, oh, nah, not at all. I said, nah, I don't have the physique for it. I'm really kind of shy. I don't really know how to present myself on a stage. He said, yeah, they'll teach you. So I said to myself, I wonder why he asked that. Make a long story short, he gave me information about a show that was being cast in New York, like in a day or two. He said, I think you should go up and see how they respond to you. I said, well, all right, I'll see if I can get away from my job. I had a job. You had to go every day. So I took off and I went to New York. And that was, should I tell you the date?
Sure, please.
July 31st, 1968.
Wow.
I came over and I went to Bill Blass. That was the name of the key name that day. That's where I had to go, Bill Blass. And I went up and there was a guy who eventually became a great friend of mine, Tom Fallon, who was Bill Blass's right-hand man. And so I didn't know him. He didn't know me. I wasn't a model. I was just a guy walking off the elevator, to see what he could find out about a fashion show. And Tom said to me, he said, okay, can you do me a favor? Can you walk? So I said, oh, yeah, sure. So I did my Newark walk. I mean, I never did
I'm so visualizing that right now.
Yeah, right. Slightly bigger, big fro, not sophisticated at all, only in dancing, And I'm walking, I don't really know what to do because I never did a fashion show at my church either. I mean, sometimes you can, Anyway, so he said, oh, okay, fine. He said, can you leave a photograph? And I said, oh, no. I said, I don't have a photograph. He said, well, can you leave a number just in case when we make our final decision and you're a part of it, we'll have a way of getting back to you. I said, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. So I left my phone number, and then I said goodbye and went down the elevator and hit the street. And I thought, okay, I'm in New York now. Should I go back home? Should I go back to Newark? And I said, no. I'm going to go over there in that phone booth and look in Yellow Pages under models. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to find out about this modeling business. So I opened up the Yellow Pages, looked under models, found Ford. I had heard that name before, Ford Models. It's Eileen Ford, because she was the grande dame of the models since the 40s. So I said, what do I have to lose? I'm in New York. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm going to go and check this out. So I walked from 40th and 7th over to 59th and 1st, and it was a brownstone, and I walked into the brownstone, and the woman said at a desk, she said, oh, the second floor. I went, oh, thank you. You know what I'm going to say, right? She thought I was making a delivery or a pickup. So I go up to the second floor, and there was a mature woman there. This is such a small story because eventually this woman, the stranger at that time, she became my agent. So that particular moment in time, I said to her, hi, my name is Renauld White. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. And I'm kind of interested in this modeling. I said, can you give me a little information about it and whether I have anything that I could contribute? She said, well, yes. She said, we have a number of black models. They're here on the wall. We try to keep them busy. We don't always succeed. A lot of them have jobs to supplement their income. But how tall are you? And I said, I'm 6'3", because I had huge hair. And she said, what's your suit size? I said, I think about a 42. She said, oh, is that a scar on your nose? And I said, yeah. She said, oh, okay. So I was black, I was too tall, and I had a scar on my nose, and that was not going to work. However, she said, listen, I'm going to give you a card. I want you to see if you can follow up on this card for me. She said, I don't think you're going to work here at Ford because I think you're too big. And she said, now somebody else might think you're perfect, but I don't think you could work for us. But here, this is the card. I want you to check it out. And I looked at it. It said Wilhelmina.
Wow.
1968.
Wow.
Wilhelmina Agency, 527 Madison Avenue. So I said, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
So you're telling me that Ford sent you to Wilhelmina?
Yeah.
When the hell does that happen? They don't, okay, keep going. Just keep talking.
So I walk out of the building and I'm walking towards, I'm going west off of 59th Street, because Ford is between 1st and 2nd. So I'm like walking, going back to Madison Avenue in the mid-50s, and I'm feeling this weight all of a sudden has taken over my mind and my body. And I thought, what's happening with me? Can I take rejection? What it was I was feeling for what I believed the first time what racism was like. I'm serious. That's how sensitive I was.
So what was happening that made you, what was causing those feelings?
Well, first of all, the first appointment was a joke, right? They couldn't take me seriously. And then my researching and finding Ford was my own initiative. And I took a chance to go there without any photographs or any experience whatsoever, and thinking that I could monopolize these people's valuable working time. We're talking about Madison Avenue. And then she says no to me. So on my journey, something took over. There was a part of my personality or my psyche that said, you're not meant to take this. Don't absorb this. You have to do something. You have to stand for something. And you are a black man. It's 1968. Your city has been burnt down. There are race riots in the South. You can't be in the South, but you're in the North, and you can do something about it. So I get to 527 Madison Avenue, look on the directory, and I saw Wilhelmina, 11th floor. Get in the elevator, and when I walked out of the elevator, I was somebody else. I went into the agency, and I saw a young woman sitting behind a desk, and I said to her, I said, hi, my name is Renauld White. I'm from the NAACP, and I want to see the number of representations of black people that this agency handles. And if you don't show me the quota, I will have pickets tomorrow.
You did that?
I did that. I did that. That was a leap into the unknown. I don't know where that came from, but I knew I had to take a risk. And I tell young people now, don't play it safe all the time. Something made me put my life.
And you were putting your life on the line like that.
I was.
Back then.
Yes, certainly was, because there I was on the 11th floor of 527 Madison Avenue, which is the heart of the advertising agency, where trends go around the world that these people produce in their minds, and then they figure out the image and then the market that the image is being going to be guided to, and the type of person that's going to wear it. It didn't matter, Sharon. I knew I was there for a cause, and I knew I had backup. I just knew it. And so this girl said, no, I'm just a receptionist here. I don't really know that kind of information. She said, just a second. So she picks up the phone and talks into it. And then she said, just a second. And within, I don't know, I would say 30 seconds, out walks two very official-looking people, a man and a woman. And they came with great determination up to me. And they said, yes, can we help you? And I said, yes. I repeated my name. I said, my name is Renauld White, and I'm from the NAACP, and I want to see the number of black people you represent. And if you don't show me and I'm not satisfied, I will have pickets outside tomorrow. They looked at me and didn't know whether I was going to pick up a table and throw it across the room. All they knew is that I was disrupting something, because this is where they had all of their young little models getting ready to be interviewed, whether they're going to be the next little blonde or the next, you know.
You did this in the reception area?
In the reception area, that's right. And I thought for a second, you know, I probably could get beat up by the cops. I will be probably walk out of here with handcuffs if these people think I'm going to disrupt their business because I had no business being there. So they said, what are you talking about? And I said, I want to see. I said, you know, all my life I look at magazines and I love clothes and I see every now and then a young person of color. This is 1968. The world is turning around on its axis. What are you doing about change? Here, you have the opportunity to make a difference. And they knew there was some sincerity there. So what they wanted to do is to get me out of that area because, again, they didn't know if I was going to create any kind of disturbance.
And also other people are listening to what you're saying.
That's right. That's right. So you know what they did? Wilhelmina was not there. They took me into Wilhelmina's office, closed the door, and I looked around. There I was with Fran Rothschild, who is no longer with us, from the Rothschild family in Europe.
Wow.
She was the vice president of Wilhelmina at that time. And her husband, Bruce Cooper. So this is Wilhelmina's husband, who was a producer on The Tonight Show when Jack Paar, I don't even know if you know who Jack.
I know who Jack Paar is.
So he managed Jack for years. So this was the caliber of people that I had confronted. Something resonated with them because they wanted to hear me out. So they brought me into this room and they started to interrogate me and grill me and ask me, what did I want? What was I doing? Why did I approach them this way? I said, because if I came in and I was polite and nice, I couldn't have gotten your attention. I said, this way I took a chance and I know I could have been beaten over the head. I knew I could have been thrown in jail, but my people are dying in the South. And I said, I have to do something up here. So this is why I did it. And so they kind of relaxed and let go of this awkwardness that was between us. And they began to explain who Wilhelmina was. She was one of the greatest models of the 60s. She was worldwide in demand. And she became so big that she broke off from Ford because she was keeping Ford wealthy. She wanted to keep her own money in her own company. So they began to explain these things to me, and they said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm a student and I work in an office. And they said, well, how would you alter your life if you became a model? I said, believe me, I'd make a way. And I said, I'm really serious about it. I said, why is it that the publications haven't changed along with society's wanting change? Why are you lagging behind? And they couldn't quite answer it because a lot of that comes out of the advertising agencies and the clients. The clients have ultimate decision of how their products need to be shown. And so within that time period, which turned out to be like 40 minutes.
You were in that office for 40 minutes?
Almost 40 minutes, Sharon. Almost 40 minutes. I was sitting down, I relaxed, and then one of their top guys came in, and they had the top guy, his name was Jerry Holmes, explain to me what his career was like. And I thought, this is amazing. These people have given me like a half an hour of their time. This is a money-making profession. This is Madison Avenue.
But did something go off in you to let you know that you had something?
The time, the fact that they were giving me this time.
Right.
Yeah, oh, I knew it. I knew this was golden. This was a gift, a blessing from God. And so they said to me, listen, we can't give you any more time. If you want to be a model, come back with your hair cut. Because we can't, because I had a huge afro. And put on some more form-fitting clothes. And then we'll take a look at you. I said, you got it. And I put my hand out to shake their hand, and they all shook my hand. I said, you'll see me again. I go downstairs, I get in the phone booth, call my mother. I said, Mom, you are not going to believe this story. And she said, son, what are you talking about? And I explained it to her. She said, oh my God. She said, be careful. I said, no. The danger's all behind me now. Now I really have to do something. And I said, I'm not coming home. I want to let you know what I'm doing. I'm going to stay over in New York. I'm going to borrow some money. I'm going to get a haircut, buy a pair of pants, and maybe a shirt if I get enough money. And I'm coming back tomorrow to let them see what I look like cleaned up. And she said, be careful, hon. She said, just, put your faith and trust in God, and He'll guide you through it. And that's what I did. I borrowed some money, got my hair cut, went back the next day. They looked me up and down and said, 1 second. They go in and they get this young woman, and she said, follow me. So I go into another room. She sits down at a desk, opens the drawer, takes out a contract, and said, here, sign on the dotted line. I said, then what? She said, then your life will change, because we will be handling your life from now on. And you're going to have to figure out how you're going to leave your job, how you're going to commute to New York on time to make the appointments. You're going to have to learn how to work in front of the camera. You're going to have to be able to present yourself, because you're going to be meeting designers. You're going to be meeting photographers. You're going to fabric houses. You're going to advertising agencies. And sometimes you'll be going to casting directors. So you really have to work on yourself now. Mm-hmm. And we have to get you, we have to do some work with you to make you feel at ease in front of the camera, because we know that you don't know how to model. And you have to build a portfolio. And that's what they did back then. We had to build a portfolio from scratch. So after that, we're talking about my whole life turned around. I was a student, and I was a clerical worker in Western Electric in Kearney, New Jersey. And in, I think, October of 1968, I took some time off and thought about it and said, there's no way I could turn my back on this. I am going to do it. I'm going to do it because it needs to be done. And I don't know if I'm the chosen one or not, but I'm going to choose myself to do it. And that's how I started.
Okay, so I know you hear this music coming in, right? So we're almost out of time, but
Yeah.
You're not finished. There's no way I'm going to let you leave and not finish the rest of
Well, that was just
this
the
story.
beginning, yes.
So we're going to be right back with part 2. But for now, I'd like to thank my guest, Renauld White, for sharing his industry knowledge with us today. Now, before I go, as always, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. I want you to, 1, remember that you can't change the game until you first learn the game. Always surround yourself with positive people and positive things. Do what you love and love what you do. And lastly, be who you are, but be who you are tastefully. Always have some class about yourself. Now, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Thanks for watching Model Behavior, and I'll see you guys next week. Class is officially dismissed. Bye, y'all.